What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of 2-Minute Warnings. Right now, we are going through our top 5 shooting guards going into the next season. We're going to start with Max, move on to Omar, and then I'll end it off on this conversation. So, Max, start us with your top 5.
All right, all the pressure on me. I'm going to lay the groundwork here. Number 5, I've got a guy who has traditionally been a point guard in his career, but he is now playing shooting guard on the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going Kyrie Irving. I would not have said this going into last season, but I think Kyrie proved a lot of people wrong. A lot of people were starting to think he was on the decline. But honestly, Kyrie had one of his best years last year. Figured out how to play next to Luka. He was very efficient leading the second unit. He got that Mavericks team to a finals position that I don't think many people saw coming. So I'm going to reward Kyrie by putting him number 5 on the shooting guard list. Technically a point guard, but he's playing next to Luka, who in my opinion is a point guard. So I'll put him 5 for shooting guards. Number 4, I've got Mr. Jaylen Brown. I had a take on this podcast many weeks ago that Jaylen Brown was overrated, and then he won NBA Finals MVP. So you proved me wrong. So I will give Mr. JB his props here by putting him number 4.
That is so funny, actually. I forgot he said that.
Yeah, it was not my best take in the world, but Jaylen Brown is the defending Finals MVP, should be on Team USA, was the best player on that Celtics team for a lot of their postseason run. I'm going to give him the nod there.
Screw
Number
Nike.
3, I've got the young man, Anthony Edwards. I know some people are going to have him higher. Some people are probably going to be mad at me for putting him this low, but it's so close. It's such fine margins when you're talking about the best players at any position in the league. I just need to see a little bit more from Ant. Maybe I'm being unfair to him, but the top 2 guys that I have on this list have been doing it year in, year out. They're in the prime of their career and still relatively young. There's still some growing pains that you see. His offense can be a little inconsistent sometimes. Sometimes his conditioning gets called into question, whether fair or unfair. But for me, I think it's only a matter of time before he gets to number 1. For right now, I'm going to put him number 3. Number 2, I've got Donovan Mitchell. It's always weird for me ranking Donovan Mitchell as a shooting guard because he's so small. I want to think of him as a point guard, but realistically, he's been a shooting guard for basically all of his career, certainly next to Darius Garland. He is a shooting guard, and he's still a top shooting guard. People forget he had that crazy 70-point game. People forget that he just led the Cavs into the second round of the playoffs this year for the first time, probably since Braun was there. D-Mitch, while he is now in Cleveland and not the flashiest team, so he's a little under, he maybe doesn't get all the shine in the world. I still think he's deserving of number 2. Number 1 has to be Devin Booker. Maybe this is an antiquated take, but D-Book is still him. Dude is one of the best pure scorers in all of basketball. He's got a bad team around him in Phoenix right now, but I think give him the right opportunity. He can absolutely lead a team back to the finals because people forget he was almost the best player on a finals winning team back in 2021. So I'm still giving the nod to Mr. Devin Booker.
All right, that's a solid list.
That is very solid. Well, it might come as a shock to people. My number 5 here is going to be Mikal Bridges. I think with the unlocking of the Nova Knicks, I think it's going to create something special for him, give him more opportunities, especially with the firepower on the defensive side that the Knicks have. I think it'll be really good for him, and it'll unlock a lot more for that Knicks team, especially for Julius Randle. It'll create so much for him. Number 4, I got Kyrie Irving. No surprise there. Man just went to the finals yet again with Luka Doncic. I don't think he should be any lower than that. Number 3, Jaylen Brown. Do I really need to say much? Finals MVP, again, should have been on Team USA. It's unfortunately that Nike kind of snubbed them there. And you know what? He should have gotten it. I don't see why. Number 2, I have to go with Devin Booker. Again, with all of Max's points, I think he's right. No doubt about it in my mind. And I have nothing negative to say about him. And number 1, for all the reasons Max said, I have to give it to Donovan Mitchell. A 70-point game. Amazing. A small guy and super athletic. So my number 1's Donovan.
Okay, I guess I'll hop right into the after you guys. For me, my list is going to look a little different. We have similar names, but starting off at number 5, I'm going to get the nod to Kyrie Irving. I agree. Like Max said, traditionally he's been a point guard pretty much his whole career. Went to Dallas playing next to Luka. He's a shooting guard. He's been a great offensive option. Really underrated playmaker at times, and I think Mavericks really overperformed their season. So shout out to Kyrie. He had a lot to do with that, and that's why he's number 5, and I think that team pretty much got better, so we'll see how they perform next year. Number 4, I'm gonna have to go with Jaylen Brown. Like I agree. Like I think Jaylen Brown, he's a great shooting guard. He deserves to be top 5. But as far as like this list, I think he has a lot less pressure to perform and help his team win than some of the other guys on this list ahead of him. No disrespect to him. I think he's a great player. He's a good wing type guy. He can play defense, score pretty good. Arguably at times he's outperformed Jason Tatum. So there's that as well. Going into number 3, this is where things get a little bit mixed up. I'm going to put okay. I'm going to put Donovan Mitchell at number 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, I feel like Donovan Mitchell, he's done a good job of trying to lead teams ever since he got into the NBA. He was on that Jazz team, never missed the playoffs for them. Went to Cleveland. Things haven't gone exactly as I would say they planned, but he did kind of decide to stay there and work things out. So I thought that was really cool on him not to just go join another team. So we'll see how he goes into this season with a fully healthy Cleveland. Number 2 for me, I'm going to say Devin Booker. I'm going to say Devin Booker is number 2. I feel like he's kind of been in the same boat as far as what he is as an offensive player. So I can contribute to a championship team. And I don't think he's really elevated his game to another level. Not saying that he has to. He's a great player. But the reason why, moving on to number 1, I put Ant at 1 because this baseline version of Ant we seen last year. Yeah, no, I was gonna bring that up. But the reason why I put Ant at number 1 is because the baseline player he is right now, he's only 22, 23 years old. He's going to continue to get strides and strides better. So that's why I'm putting Ant at number 1 going into the season. Overall, great group of guys on all these lists. But let's kind of get into Max. Max, do you want to talk about me and Omar's list? Potentially Omar.
Dude, first, I on my list so
how'd you feel about our list so far, Max?
I knew I was forgetting somebody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the obvious snub there is Ant Edwards. I'm sure that will be addressed by Mr. Omar here in a minute. I don't think the Mikal Bridges take is crazy. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think Mikal can comfortably slot himself in there at 7 to 6. And listen, maybe Kyrie, we're ranking this going into this season, so maybe Kyrie, does randomly take a step back this season. Maybe age does start to become a factor for him. And Mikal Bridges just now hitting his stride, hitting his prime. Maybe the fit in New York is perfect. I don't think it's an awful take. I would still back Kyrie having a better season personally. But other than that, I think it's a solid list. I think you show respect to all the players.
Yeah.
As needed. Obviously, you just happen to forget the guy who Earl put number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. No. 100%. I think I gotta address that real quick. So what was it? It was Mikal Bridges, Kyrie Irving. I'm gonna have to put Ant Edwards at 3. I'm gonna put Jaylen Brown at 2, and 1 will still be Donovan Mitchell.
What about Devin Booker now?
Devin Booker's gone. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Out of top 5?
You moved Booker off my number 1. You moved him off the list. I also want to say last week when we did this, you said that you called Luka Doncic a shooting guard.
My bad. Roll the clip.
On the defensive end. Luka tricked him. Found Jordan.
Teeter-totting back and forth. Doncic into Jackson Hayes. What a pass. Jackson 3. Good. What a pass. And we'll see them on the road trip. We'll also see one of the hottest teams in OKC. Threading it through the defense.
Boston up by 1. Doncic, the handles, the fake, the fade. It's pure. Luka Doncic with a 105.
Doncic. Oh, goes behind the back. The floater, you bet. Luka man.
That is true. You did say that.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
So,
did I say shooting guard or did I say small forward?
You said shooting guard. So now Luka's not in your top point guards, and he's not in your top.
I thought we addressed this last time. I thought we said if I pointed him, I was point guard, it would be 1.
That is true.
But if you played him at shooting guard, all right, let's actually. If you played him at shooting guard, would he be 1 on this list technically?
Yeah, I think. Luka has a big body, bro. Luka has a huge body. I don't think people understand that. Luka's Luka's a pretty strong dude, so he could play like 1 through 3 or 1 through 4, and
True.
nobody.
But Magic
would do
Johnson
that.
was a big dude, but his main position
Of
was point
course.
guard.
Yeah, but he can move all over the floor. Am I wrong?
No, I know, but
I feel like Luka.
his position was PG.
PG,
Israelite,
yes.
yeah.
I mean,
you're
I
right.
had a tough time ranking Kyrie as a shooting guard in this list. It
True.
feels weird that, like, you
It
know,
feels weird that
one
we're
ball
talking about
handling
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie is on this list, but
But I'll say this: I feel like for the most part, both you guys' lists were really spot on.
I
Omar,
don't know about leaving Devin Booker out.
but look, okay,
I
I'll say
may
Omar.
or may
I feel
not
like
be regretting the Mikal Bridges pick, but
Omar.
I'm
I
gonna back
just
it no
don't
matter
think
what.
there's anything to unlock with Mikal Bridges. I think he's the
Ooh.
player that he is. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that he's not a great. He's a good player, a great
Mhm.
basketball player. But I don't know if he's just magically going to get like strides better.
No.
because
I'm not saying he's gonna get like.
No, I'm just saying like
tremendously
unlock
better.
is just like to put him on 5. I just feel like at the sake of leaving Devin Booker off this list, I just don't think it. I don't think it's the right move. I know it's personal list, but respectfully, I'll have
I
to
get it.
disagree on that part.
Okay.
Next, I like your list a lot. We pretty much had the same list. I feel like Devin Booker. I respect the take at Devin Booker. I mean, he's been a dominant shooting guard since he's got into the NBA with or without help. So I respect that a lot too. And Omar, I like your list too. Other than you snubbing Anthony Edwards just not being the list, and
Yeah,
Mikal,
no, Anthony Edwards is at 3.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown at 2, Donovan Mitchell at 1, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna back Mikal Bridges at number 5. Do I think Devin Booker is better? Sure. I don't know.
So what about 4?
I think of everything. I think of everything retrospectively in terms of how you do individually and how you do on the team. I think Mikal will offer more to this team.
Even when you put it that way, Devin Booker is better.
So you can put Devin Booker 4 though. No, because you don't have a 4 right now.
Am I so stupid to say that Devin Booker may or may not be a liability on defense?
I don't think he's a liability. He's just not an elite.
No more so
defender.
than anyone else on that team.
I agree. I more agree with you on that. Actually, he's not.
Let's just
like
put it this: Mikal is a better defender, but Devin Booker is a better scorer.
And what I mean by unlocking,
Devin Booker is not a
like,
bad defender, though. That's the
no,
thing.
no. That's not what I meant to say. He's not a bad defender by any means. Not on the level as Mikal.
Yeah.
However, I value Mikal a little bit higher only because not only can he play defense at a really high level, but he also has that offensive creativity. And if he gets open, which he will on this Knicks squad more often than not, he's knocking it down. And that's not wrong to say.
Yeah. No.
Earl, you put Anthony Edwards 1. I don't want to hear about.
I don't want to say.
What do you mean? How is Anthony Edwards at 1 and Devin Booker just being completely off the list? Comparable.
Because okay. I don't want to do that conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole video conversation.
That's a whole video.
You know what? Coming up in 4 weeks, we're gonna have Devin Booker versus Mikal career highlights review and mix. But
all I'm saying is Devin Booker was the best player on the finals team. Mikal Bridges was the 3rd best player on that same team. Maybe 4th.
Bars. Whoa, I forgot about that. And that's the perfect place to stop this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of 2 Minute Warning, our top shooting guards going into the season. And we'll see you guys next week for our small forward list.
Comment down below your list as well. We want to hear that.
Peace out.